Look at that, another hat. Yes, I occasionally change hats just so I could tell which video is which. What is up, guys? It's me, the ALE Double X Prince, here to give you a rebooking. This is the first time I'm ever doing this, probably the only time I'm ever gonna do this, but I went back to rewatch some of my old videos in the past, and I was not happy with one of them. That of which was my rebooking of WrestleMania 18. This was actually the first ever rebooking I have ever done on this channel. And I'm gonna just read to you guys the card that I picked. Keep in mind, this is February 27th, 2017. This is when I uploaded this, but the card is Christian versus Edge for the European Championship. Okay, not that bad. Trish and Lita. Okay, another good one. A 24/7 hardcore match that will take place throughout the show, which to me that is like, what the hell? An Intercontinental Championship ladder match featuring William Regal, RVD, Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, Rikishi, Kane, and the Hurricane. Bit of a clunky mess, and I'm pretty sure in 2002 that was not gonna be worth it, especially like coming off the invasion. The Rock and Undertaker in a no disqualification match. You could easily do way much better with both of these guys. Maybe especially The Rock. The Rock probably deserved better. Kurt Angle with Mr. McMahon and Mr. Perfect with Ric Flair. Winner gets the first draft pick of the match. And I was never a big fan of, and I still to this day am not, but I'm not a big fan of like having a big match that's gonna culminate for something to happen at fucking at the on free TV. Like I don't like that. I would rather have this could be a good solo match, but if it was just but it's to set up something for Raw and SmackDown, then yeah, this should not be on a WrestleMania card. Chris Jericho and Triple H for the undisputed WWE Championship in a Hell in a Cell match. I thought that if you gave it a Hell in a Cell match, the match would have been better at the time. I didn't really think that. Um, I didn't think about like drawing money or anything like that. I wasn't thinking about all that crap, and honest to God, that story itself should have just been canceled from the fucking beginning. A tag team battle royal for the WWF Tag Team Championships. I'm guessing the Outsiders won that shit, but it just kind of upsetting that the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys could have gotten at least something slightly better. Um, and yeah, this was just horror shit. And the main event, Stone Cold and Hulk Hogan, Legend versus Legend, which could have still worked, but at the end of the day, I think we could have done way much better. This card looks like it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look great either. So I decided to look back at 2002, watch a couple Raws, and kind of get an idea of what could have been great, what could have been different from WrestleMania 18, and what could have made it one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. Because WrestleMania 17 and 19 are considered the best ones. What about 18? Oh yeah, it's that one WrestleMania that's in between those two. There should have been like an amazing trilogy between 17, 18, and 19, all consistently having phenomenal showings. Like those three shows alone should have been like the past, the present, and the future. Like that could have been something pretty cool. Um, like the people would have called that the greatest WrestleMania trilogy ever, 17, 18, and 19. So what would I've done different on this card? Well, let's start from the beginning. So the first match I would have is a Christian and Edge, like I did in real life, for the Hardcore Championship, not the European Championship. I actually got something better for that. But this would be a great way to have like kind of Christian get his revenge on Edge, and Edge wanting to be a single star, and they just beat the crap out of each other. Hardcore rules, anything goes. Obviously, I would have Edge win, but this would be a great way to have two boys from Toronto, Canada, opening WrestleMania 18 and a kick-ass 10-minute match. I could say they could have a great match in 10 minutes, honestly. Now, next match for the Intercontinental Championship. It's a ladder match, but it's not a multi-man ladder match. It's just two guys. RVD and Chris Jericho. Yes, Chris Jericho's not in the World Championship picture because, let's be honest, that killed him. That almost killed his career. But Chris Jericho and RVD, basically, after Chris Jericho's no longer in the world title picture, he just like He's just frustrated. He just wants to be back on the top. And he's tired of newer guys just coming in and taking off his spotlight, including RVD, who is the Intercontinental Champion. So, to get payback at RVD, even though RVD was just like, I have nothing to do with this, um, they have a ladder match to say the least, and it's going to be Chris Jericho and RVD. They have a good showing. Give this 15, maybe 18 minutes, and this would be one of the best matches on the show. The match ends with like RVD and Chris Jericho at the top fighting for the belt. Um, Chris Jericho falls after he thought he had it, and then RVD grabs the belt. He's celebrating just for a few seconds, and then he does the 5-star frog splash from that top ladder, and then RVD celebrates. There will be a good match. These guys have tremendous chemistry, and around this time they really had a hard bone for RVD, and this should have been the start, like him beating a former world champion, even though he wasn't that great of a world champion to begin with. I'm calling it like it is. Now, he was great in 2008 and 2010, but like, come on, 2001, Chris Jericho world champion? Nah, not really. Third match on the show, it's a WCW farewell match. Let me explain. Around this time, DDP comes back after a shitty storyline with The Undertaker. He kind of rebuilt himself as the DDP that we all know and love. He wins the European Championship, and we need a number one contender for that European champion. Who do we have? Booker T. So we do DDP versus Booker T, the last two greats of WCW, giving a farewell. We have a great showing from both of these men. Booker T wins, and then it ends with DDP and Booker T shaking hands. DDP retires for good, a good farewell to DDP's career, and then Booker T kind of like eventually down the road becomes the top player. Now, can you dig that, sucker? Next up, I actually had nothing for these two. I apologize in advance, but I do. I did not have anything for these two, so I decided to just put them together. Undertaker versus Kurt Angle. This would be a great showing. Just two top tier level players just having a good old brawl. Kurt Angle saying that like that the Undertaker's never beating him, and then Undertaker. This is when the streak becomes a thing. After all, this is when they bring it up. Like, if you watch the Stone Cold podcast with him and Taker, he mentions that like WrestleMania 18, that's like his 10th victory. That's when people notice the streak, and that's when you tease it. So this would be a great way to tease it. And plus, it makes sense for this time to like kind of bring up the streak and everything. So Undertaker and Kurt Angle, and they'll have a great show. And I guarantee you, these guys could have a great match if given the right time and place. Fifth match, and this is a bit of a dream match for me, but a street fight, a Toronto street fight. Dudley Boyz versus the Outsiders for the WWF Tag Team Championships. Around this time, the Outsiders were going to be a big thing. Dudley Boyz are already one of the best tag teams ever. I am going to have the Outsiders win. This is controversial because they go nowhere after this, but I would have them win, and then we'll see what we do with Hulk Hogan later. But basically, the Outsiders win, and they are now your new WWF Tag Team Champions. This, sorry, I apologize in advance, but I actually have nothing for these 6 competitors. So I decided to put them in a big 6-man tag team match, player. So I decided to do, back in the day when wrestling was must-see TV, they used to have nothing for top-tier players, and they would just have like a funny little feud that will just happen out of the blue just to like have them on the show. So I would have just a comedy feud with APA and the Hardy Boys, and then they get Big Show kind of as a bodyguard, and basically they're playing cards. APA and the Hardy Boys are playing cards. They get screwed over by Bradshaw, and then they beat the crap out of them, and then that's when Big Show just comes and just demolishes both of them. Then APA and Big Show are just like bragging that the Hardy Boys are just nobodies, and then they challenge them at WrestleMania if they could find a tag team partner, and that's when they get Kane. So I decided to do a mini match between the Hardy Boys and Kane versus Big Show and the APA. Just a fun little match, just to throw these six men together. And sometimes you need like a match that's like just a filler, but just entertaining to say the least. So I think these six men could entertain us. And the winners would obviously be Kane and the Hardy Boys, because the baby faces should always win in a type of feud and match like this. And like I said, sometimes you have to be silly just to get creative, and that is what I did here. Next up, Vince McMahon versus Ric Flair in an unsanctioned match. So Ric Flair retired from professional wrestling after WWF bought WCW. And then when Vince McMahon finds out that Ric Flair is taking over the other half of the WWF, he gets mad. He just wants to get rid of Ric Flair. He does anything possible, and then he challenges Ric Flair to a match, but Ric Flair is retired. So we're gonna do an unsanctioned match. And if you think about it, WrestleMania 8 was the last time we saw Ric Flair on a WrestleMania. WrestleMania 18, 10 years later, Ric Flair returns to WrestleMania, his first match since Sting at the last ever WCW episode. So Ric Flair and Vince McMahon, this will be a great moment for Ric Flair, and it will just be a good bloody match. And I think Vince would love to put over Ric Flair. Even Vince McMahon knows that Ric Flair was a draw. Like, say what you will about the man, but he knows when people are a draw, especially back in the day. Now he's just a fucking senile retard that doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. But Ric Flair, this would be a great markout moment for him. Then we'll have his kids and maybe his wife come out and celebrate with him. And it would just be a great moment. And then down the road, eventually, Ric Flair returns to in-ring competition full time. And then we form Evolution down the road as well. Next match, and a lot of people might love this, some people might hate this, but not the main event. The Rock and Hulk Hogan is the next match on the show. Basically, Hulk Hogan talks about how he made professional wrestling a thing, and we're basically keeping the exact same feud from The Rock and Hulk Hogan from Mania 18, but it won't be the main event. Don't worry, the main event is way much better than Jericho and Triple H. I think the biggest problem was that was that there was nothing great to follow The Rock and Hogan. Granted, the match I picked for the main event is not as like epic, but um I would say that as long as you have a legit quality main event to follow Rock and Hogan, like think about it. Triple H and The Undertaker from WrestleMania 28 had a great show and a great story, and then they had Cena and The Rock, which is another epic match that easily should have been the main event of that show. So I think if we have something to follow it up, I think we should be good. But anyways, Rock and Hogan, we keep the exact same feud, the exact same match. Then we have the outsiders turn on Hulk Hogan, like in real life. But then we find out that Nash and Hall will take over the NWA and they will start from scratch, which would be a fun story that hopefully would happen. Not unfortunately, Scott Hall won't fucking go crazy and start drinking, and they just lose their shit. But anyways, Rock and Hogan, I'd keep everything the exact same way. That was just brilliant work. Even if it was like 1 month worth of build, and then something that I would have to just kind of like cool off the crowd from that epic match. I'll just have like a women's match between Trish Stratus and Lita for the women's championship. I think this will be a good cool off match. Not, and it will be great to finally say we had Trish Stratus and Lita at WrestleMania. So it would be great, and I would have Trish Stratus win, obviously. But the main event is for the Undisputed WWF Championship in a no disqualification match. The Game, Triple H versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. This would be my main event. This would be a big draw because Stone Cold Steve Austin's still a great top player and Triple H is still one of the biggest heel. How would I have this match come about? So, the 2-man power trip didn't work out because Triple H tore his quads. We have that big mini tournament at Vengeance where Jericho beats Steve Austin and The Rock in the same night. We have that epic moment on San Diego where Chris Jericho is just holding the two belts, and then Stephanie McMahon says, "Hey, Chris Jericho, you have one more match," and then Triple H returns for the first time, and then people are booing because like, yo, this is Jericho's moment, and Triple H screwed it over. And we do have a rematch on a Raw or something, a steel cage match or something. But this is what will cause Chris Jericho to lose his mind, turn heel, and then face RVD like earlier on the show. But then the Royal Rumble winner is Stone Cold Steve Austin. This means he would win four Royal Rumbles. Or actually, I was honestly thinking of doing this, of having I was actually thinking of tweaking it just a bit, the story. I was originally gonna do Stone Cold win the Royal Rumble for the fourth time, but instead I would have the Royal Rumble go as is. Uh, we have number 30 be the NWO because Triple H hired the NWO to come back, which explains why they're back, anyways. They all beat the crap out of everybody in the Rumble, and then Hogan, Nash, and Hall win the Royal Rumble, and then Triple H comes and they do the two sweet, so that's your faction. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin said that you screwed us over, so he will take on every NWO member one by one, except Hulk Hogan, because that should be saved for another time. But Hulk Hogan claims to be injured, so he won't face him, so it will just be Austin and the Outsiders. And he wins thanks to the Dudley Boys, which will lead to their match at WrestleMania. Stone Cold is going to face Triple H now at WrestleMania. And now it's Stone Cold versus Triple H main event of WrestleMania 18. Now we have a legit heel and a legit babyface that need to win. And sure enough, Stone Cold Steve Austin wins the Undisputed World Heavyweight Championship. Both Stone Cold holding both belts, drinking beer. That's a big epic moment, and it'll bring back the Stone Cold Steve Austin we all love because the previous year he turned heel, which was stupid. Anyways, what do you guys think of this rebooking of WrestleMania 18? Be honest. Did you like the original one? Did you like this one? This will probably be the only time I ever do this. So enjoy it while you can. So like I might not ever rebook anything ever. But this is just something that I just wanted to do and redeem myself as a rebooker on this channel because that's what I want to do. I want to get better. I want to improve, and I eventually want to be a big name here in YouTube. It's me, the ALE Double X Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and until then, I'm out.